Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining. I appreciate your participation in our webinar today. On the phone with me, I have Brian Skidmore, who's our Chief Marketing Officer and co-founder of OneStream Networks. I also have Zach Rivera, who's our Global Director of Product Development, as well as Jay Guagliardi, who's our Director of Marketing. Greg Morelli, who's our Global Director of Distributors and Value-Added Resellers, and Laura Martin, who is our Senior Channel Manager who covers the Southeast for us at OneStream. I'm Andy Ramos. I'm our Vice President of Global Channel Sales. Again, thank you for your participation in the meeting today. What we're going to be doing today from a review standpoint is really kind of talking about who OneStream Networks is on a high level. When to engage us. So, what are the key points that you should look for when you're out there, with your customers, and trying to say, okay, this could be an opportunity to work with OneStream and partner with them and bring some value from that perspective. Taking a look at why OneStream. Today, we're going to be focused heavily on our cloud voice hub product, which is an exciting product set that we're excited to really kind of deliver to you guys today and discuss. And then really kind of provide a summary and next steps of what's happening. So with that, I'd like to introduce Brian Skidmore, our Chief Marketing Officer, to really go through, what I mentioned in the agenda. On the bottom right, you'll see an opportunity for Q&A. Please feel free to ask questions at any time, and we'll address them as soon as possible. So with that, Brian, I hand it to you.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate it. And just want to say thank you to everyone that's on the call, wherever you are in the world, whatever time it is. It's getting to be evening here, and I know it's tough to cut time out of the day to sit in on these sessions, but we appreciate your time and energy, and excited to be part of this. I'm even more excited because I'm sitting in a parking lot right now on my iPhone and my laptop, watching collaboration video, using voice, and interacting with people around the globe using the technologies. And a lot of the technologies that you're out in the field working with today and pushing forward for your customers, but also the services that are driving a lot of the change in the industry. And as Andy said, we're excited to introduce some new services from OneStream Networks that are going to allow you or enable you to provide better collaboration tools in the field, become more competitive in the marketplace, drive the vision and the goals that your customers are looking to achieve with lower cost of ownership, and enabling the tools globally as the market force changes. So I'm looking forward to that. And after 35 years, I still get jazzed about this technology. And what we'd like to do is just remind everyone that we do have Q&A open in the bottom right. So feel free to drop questions in at any time, and we can make this more of a dialogue as well. So with that, I'll get to the first slide. Did that shift for you, Laura?
Nope. Stand by. It looks like, there we go. Now you have control.
Got it. Okay. So real quickly, before we get into some of the new technologies that we're going to talk about today, just wanted to remind you who OneStream is. We've worked with many of you around the globe, so thank you for your continued business with us. And for anyone that we haven't, we look forward to it and welcome engaging with you. Even if it's not with a customer, it's potentially just whiteboarding and discussing applications that you're facing in the field. OneStream Networks, we are a global managed services provider. And as you see, we enable and unify the enterprise collaboration and unified communications tools. We do that through a fully meshed, geographically redundant set of global data centers and technologies that allow us to interconnect around the globe, providing PSTN replacement or voice services, trunking services, whatever you want to call it, in over 70 different countries. So highly differentiated out in the marketplace today based on that scope and obviously the technologies that are fully meshed and geographically redundant, so we can build zero outage type designs. In addition to that, we also are very flexible as an organization. You know, we've built all of our licensing to accommodate the needs of customers. We provide exceptional sales support, and I want to remind you that we try to make everything a collaborative effort. So we do want to work shoulder to shoulder with you as a partner when you go out to a customer, so we can join you on joint discovery calls, you know, whiteboarding with the customers and solutioning. And you can use our teams of engineers and salespeople to support you in that initiative or those initiatives. We do offer 24/7 global NOC support. So we can't work in the mid-market and the enterprise and be successful and execute without having that. So we do provide world-class service to that end. And we also differentiate ourselves with service delivery. We have, in my opinion, probably the industry's top group of service delivery experts. And we typically will put people into dedicated teams to support your customer. And that includes project managers that might work right alongside with your project managers in deployments, as well as voice engineers, data engineers, security engineers, and product folks. Ultimately, our goal is to deliver an exceptional experience to the customer. And for you as a partner, we want to be the best partner you've ever had and continue to go forward. A couple things I just wanted to touch on with our approach to the marketplace and why we're so successful with partners like you and customers. First one is we bring over 15 years of experience in the industry. We've been working with enterprise class customers from day one and helping them with whatever their migration needs are, whether it be SIP connectivity into premise-based phone systems, all the way to what we're talking about today, which is enabling cloud PSTN for a lot of the new collaboration tools that you're out in the field working with. As you'll see too, we also have an extensive infrastructure that covers the entire globe and allows us to bring voice services or PSTN services, again, to over 70+ countries. And you'll hear that a few times today because it truly is leading in the industry right now with global coverage. And the goal of having this network is to help folks consolidate. That's another thing to notice as we're going through a few diagrams. You know, if you have a premise-based system, you typically have a lot of hardware, gateways, routers that are interconnecting to local telephone companies and PSTN services. And what we're talking about today is getting away from that model as customers shift to the cloud with their collaboration tools and enabling those folks out in the cloud as opposed to having to manage at the premise. As I said before, our service delivery is second to none. And our methodology is proven, and we're also flexible in working with you and your project teams to put a seamless face on a solution if we're working jointly. The last thing I want to comment on is, as a partner, it's important for you to understand we are 100% committed to the channel and our partners. We do not compete with you. We want to enable you and make you better at what you do. We offer strong commission rates, so everything we talk about here is commissionable through our partner program. And we work collaborative, as I mentioned. So where you need us, we'll be there to help you, whether it's pre-sales engineering, video drawings, designs, whatever you need, we're going to work with you and be considerate. Any questions so far? Okay, real quickly, we always love to do a little name dropping, but it's important to show you that we play in a space with some of the most demanding customers on the planet. And you'll see through multiple verticals and multiple mid-market and large enterprises that we've been deploying over the past 15 years successfully and working with them. And this might also help trigger in your mind too, kind of the target market you can think about when you think about OneStream and our Cloud Voice Hub services. Okay. Bring that up for too long. One quick thing I wanted to touch on is, you know, we want want you to understand where we can assist you and where your time is best spent with OneStream. One of the things I put in here is that the market dynamics are driving a lot of tremendous change and creating tons of opportunities for all of us across the globe with the new collaboration, with the unified communications, video and contact centers, and the migration of employees and offices to more of a remote enabled environment and using the cloud, obviously. So knowing that there's a ton of migration plans that are in place with a lot of IT departments, where are we typically seeing these opportunities? First one would be mergers and acquisitions. There's a lot of consolidation going on in the industry right now, a lot of merger and acquisition going on, and that forces a lot of strain, or puts a lot of strain on the IT departments at these companies. And they're looking for solutions from you and us to migrate them to the cloud potentially, to integrate multiple platforms that are disparate today and don't talk from a voice standpoint, don't give their employees, a common platform and a common dial plan to work from. So mergers and acquisitions are a great area where customers are going to be asking or pushing you to more in-depth solutions and global PSTN solutions as well to complement the collaboration. Secondly is transitioning between platforms. Anytime customers looking to make a change or planning to make a change, especially folks that are going from premise to cloud, they're going to be faced with a lot of challenges. And one of the areas that we can help you is in transitioning to the cloud and moving the PSTN to the cloud to complement and work with the infrastructure they already have in place and create a seamless migration path. Third thing is multi-platform hybrid strategy. If you think about it, a lot of companies, especially going through merger and acquisition, they might have half the company that's sitting on Cisco HCS, and they're going to be migrating to Cisco's UCM cloud. The other half of the organization might be sitting on Microsoft Teams, and neither half of the organization wants to change the collaboration, unified communications tools that they're used to using. But as a company, your challenge is, how do you integrate the two? And to date, there hasn't been a solution that allows you to create one single seamless dial plan and integration point between multiple platforms. And this extends out to contact centers as well. So multi-platform hybrid is one of the solutions that we're bringing forward today as we talk. And the last one I have here is anybody moving to a distributed work environment. You hear about it every day on the news and from your customers. They're rethinking how their employees work, where they work, what tools they have access to, and how they manage those tools. And OneStream and our Cloud Voice Hub solution is going to help assist you with that. Okay. Key drivers for opportunities. So what we're introducing today is OneStream's Cloud Voice Hub. And this is just a little snippet of a brochure. And it's my reminder to let you know that after this call, the team will be forwarding you a package that I believe includes the presentation, some battle cards, some cut sheets, data sheets, and any support material you need to review this information and get a better understanding of what we do. With that, I'm going to shift into more of an architecture here because I think it's important for you all to understand exactly how this comes together. And again, Andy and team, let me know if there's any questions along the way. So you'll see in this diagram, we have Cloud Voice Hub in the middle, and then we have the customer and all their technologies and applications at the bottom. The first thing to note, and this is a big differentiator for OneStream Networks and you, is we provide a seamless global service. Again, geographically redundant, fully meshed, high availability data centers, and we call them our super pops. And as you'll see, we have coverage with redundancy within each region. So this is very important for your multi-site, multinational customers that have interest not only in the Americas, but in EMEA and APAC, and bringing it all together. Plugged into our voice hub is our infrastructure globally for the on and off ramps to the PSTN. So we'll just call it global PSTN for now, again, covering about 70 different, or covering 70 plus different countries. And that allows us to provide QoS-based, high-quality on and off ramps for your incoming and outgoing call services and replacing your existing telephone services you have today going forward. Couple things on that. There's multiple, obviously, interconnection points with the world's leading carriers. There is no one carrier that can do every country on the planet. But we have specific criteria that vendors have to meet to be able to tie into our network, and that includes multi-point peering, which gives us failover and the ability to keep your services up and running, and also allows us to have multiple layers within the platform we can use to help you diversify your phone numbers and not have single points of failure within the network. Second thing with global PSTN that's noted here is portability and consolidation. With this extensive PSTN network we have globally, it gives us the ability to take over and migrate the DID phone numbers, some people want to call them DDI in different countries, and toll-free services and anything else related to voice, and migrate it from your old service provider to OneStream networks and consolidate those services into our global backbone in whatever form you want. And that's a big interest to companies because it gives them the ability to reduce the number of vendors they have in their mix, simplify the network from a management standpoint, and long-term ease of management, and ultimately reduce the operating expense of your global PSTN requirements. And that's really important, I think, to us and the team, to you, because it creates an ROI. It's not uncommon in working with multi-site, multinational companies or even just large businesses where we can help them reduce 30 to 50% of their operating expense through these consolidation and changes in bringing SIP PSTN into their services. And that can help justify other initiatives that you or they may be on and bring those forward and get them to closure and keep you differentiated from the competition. So the next piece of this puzzle, if you will, is I just wanted to point out that from the customer premise, one of our traditional products that we've been doing for 13, 14 years now is premise-based solutioning, right? SIP trunk PSTN to replace ISDN PRI lines, copper lines, current SIP trunks that are with too many vendors around the world. We can take any premise PBX and give you either SIP handoffs or PRI handoffs or copper handoffs, that whatever you need for the physical connection to that premise phone system, and give you access to our global backbone. So I wanted to point that out. And that applies to contact centers as well on premise. So in the middle here, you're going to see a couple other arrows with clouds on them. And this is really what's happening today. A lot of these customers with premise are trying to move to cloud. Some of them are doing it in fits and starts. Some are forced to do it through merger and acquisition. But that move changes the dynamics of how PSTN happens for the customer. We no longer have to rely on voice gateways, routers, whatever you want to call it, on the customer premise. We can now move the services into the cloud and enable the voice PSTN. Just had another build on this because there's specific requirements for us to offer cloud PSTN services to these very large SaaS providers or developers, whatever you want to call them. So we've spent a lot of time and energy over the last few years working with the Cisco's, Microsoft's, Avaya's, Genesys Contact Center, NICE InContact Contact Center. And it gives us, we've built a dedicated set of services. Oh, here we go. We've built dedicated connections redundantly into and out of the different SaaS providers and had to meet very stringent requirements and testing from them before they would approve OneStream voice services over their customer applications. So I'm happy to say that when you see these names on here, you can feel comfortable to know that these are the services we can bring to the table, and they've already been vetted and certified by your current SaaS provider for the cloud services you're subscribing to. A couple quick notes on this. Again, no requirement for SBCs and gateways on premise anymore because we have the certified SBCs in all of our data centers around the globe. So that greatly simplifies the design. It also gives you the flexibility in how you connect to us. And you'll note here that we say transport agnostic. Basically just means that you can design this on however you want or in whatever way you want to get to us, including MPLS services with QoS-based classes of service, dedicated internet, broadband, SD-WAN that combines multiple transport technologies. We can accommodate all those connectivities into our backbone for the voice services. Second point in there, again, we're certified and integrated with all these developers and SaaS providers. So that gives us the assurance that we're going to have a quality experience with every touch of the PSTN with the customer. Important to know that these are done on dedicated peers and also using TLS service for full encryption over the SaaS provider backbone connecting to us. So we'll meet any kind of compliance requirements for encryption or protection of that data, privacy, and QoS. Consolidate PSTN. Talked about it a few times now. 70 different countries gives you the ability to bring all those numbers under a single source with OneStream and a simplified management and obviously some economies to reduce operating expense. One of the unique things we're doing in the marketplace right now with how we price our services is, as you'll note, as you're working with your SaaS providers to sell their services, a lot of things are done on a per user basis, per user per month, right, PUPM. And in the trunking world or PSTN world, that's not always possible, or I shouldn't say that. It's not always cost effective to scale into very large applications. So what we designed, which is unique in the market right now, is session-based pricing for cloud PSTN from OneStream networks. So in a nutshell, it means you are going to pay for what you need. And we work with you on the design to figure out how many end users you have, how many simultaneous in and outbound voice connections you need per region or as a globe, however you want to look at it, or per city. And then figure out the number of concurrents and put that together on a pricing model for you. And even more exciting is we've developed unlimited package for usage. Right? There's always a cost for in and outbound calls, or at least outbound calls and inbound toll-free. And we can either provide a usage-based model where you pay for the actual minutes you're using on the network, backed up by your monthly CDRs and everything you can access from our customer portal. Or you can take advantage of unlimited concurrent sessions, which will take the onus off of you having to know how many minutes you require and obviously help you reduce cost. And the last piece of this is, yes, sir.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. We just got a question here. Question is, we're very familiar with your Cisco unlimited package offer in the U.S. Do you have any options outside of the U.S. today for unlimited call paths?
That's a great question. And yes, we have in North America the unlimited package that was the first phase. Phase 2 that we just opened up within the past 2 weeks is we now have unlimited concurrent session packages for all of EMEA. So don't quote me on this, 30, 32 countries, whatever is in EMEA, and we can offer a full unlimited package there. Phase 3, which will be probably first quarter of next year, will be unlimited packages for the APAC region.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, very, very exciting.
I'm excited about that.
To be able to,
I think my team is too. That's great. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's
that.
great competitive differentiator again. So as we jump a little bit further here, one of the reasons you see us kind of in the middle there is the Cloud Voice Hub. It's very important to understand that all this integration work we've done between all these platforms and developers and SaaS providers was really to create an engine in our backbone, our infrastructure, that allows you to have these multiple disparate platforms talk. If you think about it traditionally, your Cisco system is not going to talk to your Microsoft system. And when you make a phone call, your employee calling from their Cisco phone is calling to a Microsoft Teams user, and the call goes out to the PSTN and it ends up being billed whatever the per minute is, and it can become very cumbersome and clumsy and expensive for bigger companies to manage multi-platforms, and it drives their cost up and doesn't have any kind of coordinated dialing or short dialing capabilities, which can be frustrating to the end users. So Cloud Voice Hub is really a multi-platform integration network that allows us to bring all these pieces and parts together. Again, coordinated dial plan across the different platforms. And don't forget, this isn't just UC platforms and collaboration platforms. This also applies to contact centers. And it's not uncommon that we'll see a company with 3 or 4 of these different platforms that they want to integrate and have talk seamlessly to help the company grow. And one of the biggest things, like I said, is we're creating an on-net environment. And because we're managing that routing and that dial plan within the OneStream infrastructure, it makes everything an on-net call. All those DID phone numbers, those toll-frees, anything you use to call in and between platforms and your employees is all going to become on-net, no-charge traffic. So definitely a big bonus, you know, as you're looking at moving into collaboration tools. Any questions on this slide before I move on? No? Okay. We've mentioned it a few times, now we'll just give you a visual. You know, we've built out our networks over the years to cover the globe, do it responsibly with geographical redundancy and high availability. Our PSTN services, as we said, is available in over 70 different countries, all done with geographic redundancy and PSTN pairing. An important note here is per country localization. A lot of people don't think about it, but every country is unique in how their dial plans are built. I think I used the example of Germany. You know, they have anything from a 4-digit dial that goes into maybe the atomic clock so they can tell you what time it is, to 15-digit numbers that goes to some other governmental service and everything in between. Well, we've built in all the countries that we do business with, that we're certified within, we've built all those dial plans so that your end users or the customer's end users won't notice a difference in the service they're using for voice from what they've had for 30 years with Deutsche Telekom or British Telecom. So we give you a seamless migration. And to me, that's critical because that's directly affecting your internal customer sat, right, and change management. You want the voice to be as smooth as possible, and you don't even want them to notice that there was a change. And we've baked that all into our solutions globally with this localization design. Also important is local number portability. Everyone wants to bring their phone numbers with them. Customers have had them published for years. They're in all their marketing materials all across the globe, business cards. So we have one of the most extensive local number portability footprints on the globe. And that gives us the ability to help the customers migrate what they can into our network and preserve what's already in place. And always we get the question about closed markets. As we all know, due to regulatory requirements and restrictions, there are always going to be a certain number of countries that prevent other telephone companies, aside from the government-owned telco, to provide voice services there. And the big example of that is mainland China. You know, it's not a OneStream weakness, it's just an industry challenge that we all face. So nobody can take numbers away from the Chinese telcos or PTTs, and you cannot port those numbers out. Well, how do we solution around that? Customers have a lot of facilities and a lot of employees in some of these closed markets. What we do is we work closely with the customer to create, still using our cloud PSTN, but putting in potentially a voice gateway on the customer premise that allows them to bring in, we can coordinate it with them, ISDN PRI services or SIP trunk services from that local PTT or telco, and we SIP register that back into our global core. Long story short, it gives us the ability to stay compliant with the regulations in that country. It allows the customer to keep their DID phone numbers and everything they want, but it also brings them into the family for all the other locations around the world with the same coordinated dial plan that open markets enjoy. And that's a big benefit in us helping you and the customer, because that's always been a challenge for a lot of companies, and we've had that in place successfully for a long time. So we look forward to discussing those solutions with you as well. Any questions to date? Okay. The other thing this drawing depicts is, as we said before, we're directly interconnected and dedicated within the SaaS providers like Microsoft and Cisco around the globe, and we integrate with every data center they have back to all of our data centers so we can provide that fully meshed PSTN service. Okay, so why OneStream? I think this is more of a summary type slide. Our global SIP and multi-platform hub is what we're talking about today. Very exciting technology and application, very welcome in the industry right now and in high demand. Our challenge is to make sure we jointly go out and find those opportunities and make sure we tell them about it at every pass. Secondly, again, industry-leading coverage when it comes to voice services, 70 different countries. But there's a couple important points in the notes down below here. It's not just about coverage, it's about consolidating. Many companies are over-trunked in their current design, spending too much money on telcos. They have too many vendors, which creates a very difficult network to manage, and too many vendors equals confusion, complexity, and cost. So with our network, we're able to help with some of the cost reduction and build an ROI to help you with any initiatives you're on. Third point is, as we talked about, the way we build our pricing models, give the customer flexibility in how they approach it. Unlimited packages, usage-based packages, very simple, but very impactful to the end user. And lastly, we're partner and customer focused. Without you, we don't exist. And we appreciate that and appreciate your partnering on opportunities. And I think what you'll find over time, if you haven't done business with us, we're one of the easiest companies on the planet to do business with, and take that responsibility seriously and want to constantly improve the level of services that you experience. This slide, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty detail on it, but what it depicts is, with our world-class service delivery teams, working with potentially your project teams and the customer, we build very extensive onboarding journeys, if you want to call it that document every step of the process and make sure that nothing goes unchecked. And this includes that whole team I was talking about before, from the sales and sales account management to our service delivery folks, project managers, engineers, quality assurance folks. Will work with you from basically start to finish during the deployment. And just as importantly, after the customer is deployed and everyone agrees and accepts the service, we don't forget the relationship right there. We have a whole separate life cycle that takes the customer beyond deployment into what I'll just call production. And that includes account management dedicated to that customer, quarterly business reviews so that we can keep an eye on some key metrics to make sure that we're performing to the standard that the customer and you as a partner would expect. And that gives us the ability to manage the customer from end to end and give you the assurance that when we're working with one of your customers and your brand, that we're going to make you shine. That's what I had for the introduction on Cloud Voice Hub. I really appreciate your attention. I hope you found some value in there. I believe at this point, Andy, I'm going to turn it back to you, and we're going to talk about, if you identify opportunities or just want to talk about the industry and opportunities and applications in general, how do you find us and who's supporting you?
Thanks, Brian. That was great. Appreciate it. So, OneStream, as Brian had indicated before, is a channel first organization, right? So our philosophy is really to support our partnerships. That's led by Greg Morelli, who's on the phone here, as far as global distributors and masters and VARs, really kind of running that program for us. We have coverage in all the geographies here in the States, as well as EMEA and Asia Pac. You'll see a legend of the people that are involved here. We'll also be providing you with this presentation after the call, so you'll be able to access the information of the individuals you need to contact in case you're interested in our services and want to have further discussion. We'll certainly be reaching out to you guys, but if anything pops up, here are your key contacts. As Brian mentioned, we're very excited about this Voice Hub product. We have a lot of possibilities. That unlimited package in EMEA is particularly exciting for us, as we've seen a high demand in other parts of the world beyond the US and Canada for unlimited bundled packages on a local call-in basis. That's available now. We also, and probably want to talk about this a little bit, and as we continue the dialogue here today, is we do offer international toll-free services here domestically. There are some efficiencies that we're seeing with different customers as they integrate those types of services into their call-in plans globally. It's a very exciting time at OneStream, and again, we appreciate the partnership of the individuals that have joined us today and all of our partners throughout the globe. So with that, I'm going to open it up to some Q&A. Does anybody else have any other inquiries that are pending? I had something pop up here, and probably just looking at this, I think I'd probably address this to you, Zach. So I have a customer with an existing prem-based Cisco call manager service and offices here in the US, and through acquisition, a remote office in Japan who has an MS Teams environment. The long-term goal and what I'm trying to achieve is to get to WebEx calling. How can OneStream get me from where I am today to where I want to go?
Thanks, Andy. That's a question we get a lot of. We've talked to a lot of customers that are looking to move to different platforms or have existing platforms. As a company, we think we can save them money right away by getting them on our SIP trunking environment. So during that process, we can get them in charge with our project management team and port those numbers all to the OneStream network. We can also work with them with that specific example with the MS Teams direct routing capabilities, and we can port those numbers over to that platform. And our SPCs have the intelligence to be able to build plans, global plans within each other to understand all those numbers associated with that customer. Once that's in place, the customer, and we have all the numbers ported in our SPCs, our session border controllers, then we can work with the customer on a migration plan to move them over to another cloud platform, which we're integrated across the world with the Cisco WebEx in all of their hubs. So it's an easier migration once we have those numbers as part of our OneStream network environment.
No, thank you for
So
that.
Zach,
Thank you for that answer. Good.
this is Brian. I just wanted to add one more thing into that, Andy, if I could.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
really, just to simplify it, this gives, if you're moving voice first of all, collaboration and changes in unified communications and contact centers can be extremely challenging, in managing the end users. A lot of companies are enjoying the fact that they can migrate all their voice to OneStream networks, regardless of platform today, and start to not only realize the cost savings associated with our consolidation and how we build it, but also take the challenge of PSTN off the table so that they can now start focusing on collaboration and migrations with their end users. So just wanted to add that color in there because it's very beneficial to be able to get the voice out of the way, and it immediately starts contributing to the bottom line and frees them up to start working with the end users on collab.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Zach. Just one question that came from one of our participants here. When pulling in the multiple platforms, can abbreviated dial-in be done? So Zach or Brian, I'm not sure if one of you want to field that question.
Yeah, I can feel that. The abbreviated dial-in is done amongst platforms. So that's a function that you can do from an administrative perspective. From a PSTN perspective, all these platforms require when you go out to the PSTN network that you use E.164 format. So from our perspective, we would get E.164 format. You can build translations within each one of these platforms to get that back to abbreviated dialing. But we wouldn't be able to take a 4-digit dial from MS Teams and make it work into, you would do that translation on that platform to get it to E.164 format, and then we would send it to the next platform. And if you have that translation created in that platform, that can convert it back to the 4-digit dialing that you had in the other platform.
Thank you, Zach. Hopefully that answers your question. Participant there. So if you have any other, please follow up with that. Another
Andy,
one.
I do see a question, in there.
No, and thank you for responding. Yes, clear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good. One other thing popped up around visibility, guys. So just the question around, call flows, call metrics, et cetera. Does OneStream provide any tools as far as that? Brian, I don't know if you can field that question.
Yeah, and you and I can maybe split this one. So from a customer standpoint, every customer has access to what we call the customer portal. And that's your secure access into our systems where you can look at your invoicing history, look at your current invoices, pull down your CDR records if you want to look at call records, where you can pay your bill. It also includes real-time monitoring tools where you get access into your tenants or tenant, and you get the ability to drill down and look at specific calls. And this is very helpful for companies that maybe have a help desk that does some tier 1 triage of service tickets before they call vendors. And this gives folks the visibility into their calls, help them identify what the underlying issue might be, maybe resolve it themselves because it could be their own network or their internal LAN. And then if they need to engage us, they can rely on our global NOC 24/7 with priority services. So yes, that's the customer portal side of it. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, no, and again, back to the point that we've been making throughout, we're a partner first organization. We've also created a partner portal that has a lot of information, our latest marketing collateral, really just gives you the ability to quote yourself any of these SIP trunking type services, and really gives you the latest and greatest of what we have. So, as a follow-up to this meeting, we'll definitely be providing you guys with credentials, et cetera, to access the partner portal and really leverage that. It's a great information source and an ability to get instantaneous information and really even get instantaneous quoting if you need to. So highly suggest that you leverage the partner portal. So appreciate that. One thing I did want to cover that's not in the question box here, Brian and Zach, is just some of our capabilities around ITFS and how we kind of leverage that into, you know, a call plan, for instance, right? How do you make on-net call-in? You know, what's our coverage look like from an ITFS perspective? We're seeing a lot of interest out there because, you know, again, these global organizations have toll-free services globally, right? So not everybody, we're not necessarily throwing that out there right off the bat, but it is definitely a capability within our wheelhouse. So, you know, if you guys can talk about that a little bit.
I do. Yeah, the international toll-free or ITFS really mirrors our coverage map that we've been talking about all afternoon here. So, you know, 70 plus countries where we can get access to local toll-free numbers in country and integrate that into the dial plans for the incoming calls. And then obviously once those calls are into our infrastructure, they can be routed as the customer wants them between locations, transferred amongst locations, moved between platforms. So yeah, ITFS really looks just to us more just like a DID. Right. The other thing that it brings to mind is there's a few different ways to slice and dice toll-free traffic around the globe. Some companies, because ITFS does come at a higher per minute cost, some companies are deciding to dispense with toll-free and put in DID numbers dedicated in each country and then routing those for their incoming contact centers. So we want to be consultative with every engagement with the end user, understand their requirements, and give them the options and the pros and cons of each. Go ahead, Zach. I think you had something.
No, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Did that answer the question, Andy?
No, it's great. Yeah, no, I definitely wanted to cover that with everybody. You know, we always talk about the regular traffic, right? Not necessarily the toll-free traffic. And there's so many unique applications given what OneStream has built, you know, with you know, the different connectivity into the contact centers, the different connectivity into these platforms. How does that all happen through the network that's been created over the past 15 years by OneStream? So I think it's a huge differentiation coupled with the global coverage that we have. So something that I definitely wanted to cover with the participants today.
Good.
Good. See if there are any more questions. Looks like we're all set. So appreciate everybody's time.
Hey, Andy.
Yep.
Hey, Andy. I actually do see a question in here. Is there any cloud demo tenant available for resellers and customers showing the hybrid integration between WebEx and Microsoft Teams as an example? So do you want to touch on how we can work with the partner to get that rolling for folks?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is it's definitely something that again, from that partnership perspective, we want to enable our partners to work through themselves with their customers and be able to react quickly. So we do offer a package around that. You know, we can discuss those commercials. I'm not sure who asked the question, but you know, that correspondent channel map will that individual can go over the details of that program, or Greg Morelli, who's also on the phone, or even myself. But the idea, you know, is really kind of looking at, you know, what your customer base looks like, you know, how much you really need, like what's the volume around that, and we'll come up with a solution that makes sense as far as, you know, giving you a demo environment to couple with, you know, WebEx Call-in or UCM Cloud or whatever you might need from the PSTN side. So it's definitely something we love to entertain. Because we know that you as our partners are out on the street really kind of selling the overall package, and we're a component of that. So without question, we'll offer that up to you guys. Hope that answers your question. For some reason, that question did not pop up on my screen, Brian, so I apologize. I didn't see that one. Yeah.
Oh, it looks like Laura's already taking care of it. So yeah, we have the participant that asked the question, and we'll follow up with Laura's got it.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
And just one small clarification on that. We do proof of concepts, right, for MS Teams and WebEx calling. The UCM Cloud is a little different because Cisco forces you as a partner to do UCM Cloud connectivity into their environment first before we can do a proof of concept. But we absolutely have done multiple proof of concepts with partners once they get that link into the UCM Cloud environment.
No, I appreciate that, Zach. That's a good clarification. And again, like just even that, I'll stress the willingness of us to work with you guys to enable you to work with your clients, right? So whatever platform that might be, again, it's not really just labeled as Cisco and Microsoft. I mean, we've done things with Zoom and others as well. So, come to us with these types of questions. We definitely want to make sure that you're able to showcase what you can do with this global platform that we're providing on the back end. So again, thank you everybody for your participation today. As a follow-up, we will be sending today's materials along with a packet of other information around Cloud Voice Hub. That map of individuals that you can reach out to within OneStream. I think it's very important that we continuously dialogue with you guys and look at different solutions. It's interesting, every customer that we come across has a different environment, and they have different platforms and they have all sorts of interchangeability between these things that's necessary. And we're definitely filling a gap in that regard. So really want to continue that conversation with everyone on the phone here, and appreciate everybody's time. And panelists, I appreciate all your participation in putting this thing together. So thank you, everybody.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.
Have a good time. See you guys.